Hello, Steve. Hello, Joe. It's time to game classy.
The call is being recorded.
Did you double press the button? Did you double press?
I double press the button. Remove the decal.
Remove the decal.
Remove the decal.
Hey, everybody. We're recording on a Wednesday night, so prepare for Wednesday night vibes.
It's Wednesday night. We're feeling alright, and we're ready for tabletop game news, but all of it's going to happen on the weekend, and we're not going to be able to record about that anyway.
Word. Exactly. I'm glad you were able to sum that up.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know,
I mean, there is a bunch of stuff that was announced, I guess.
Are you talking about the return of Dystopian Wars?
Was that announced? I missed that. That's funny, though.
I don't know. I don't know if it was just announced. I just noticed it the other day that I was like, hey, Dystopian Wars is back. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. I think this is actually probably old. War Cradle Studios is doing it, by the way. So there you go. One of the more incomprehensible rule books I've ever read in my life. And I've read quite a few.
That rule set was really fucking bad. Which sucks because the models were awesome. But yeah, no, the game was gooster. I had someone it was kind of fully cooked when the guy teaching me the game couldn't figure out how to fucking play it.
I mean, yeah, it was a real, those figures were really cool. I mean, the whole entire concept, the planes, the boats, the little tanks, it was all great.
Yeah, the figures were dope as shit.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh man, that rule book was way too big for what it needed to be.
Yeah, it was not great. I mean, the big thing the thing I think looks dopest is actually the Kings of War Champions.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. I haven't looked too deep into it. What is that?
So it is.
Wait, just to let you know, I was made a moderator of that forum on Reddit, and I have no idea why.
Of the Kings of War forum?
Yeah, on Reddit.
Huh. All right. Well, I mean,
and the champions one.
All right. Well, good. Glad you do your job.
I guess I've never moderated anything in my life, and I refuse to start doing it now.
Come on, you can do it. Ronnie believes in you.
Yeah, okay.
But so what Kings of War Champion is, and it looks dope. Like I like no joke. Like it actually looks really good. So it's a smaller scale, rank and flank game.
Okay.
And the idea is the characters are way fucking stronger. So it's intentionally designed Hero Hammer. So
okay.
it's Hero Hammer with intent.
Okay.
So the starter box set looks like a great fucking deal. $120. You get 41 minis, a whole fuckload of tokens and cards. You even get little punch out rulers, which is pretty dope.
Oh, you get tokens?
You get tokens. There's 2D terrain, which you know I love.
You do love your 2D terrain.
Yeah, it has walls and forests and all sorts of punch out cardboard stuff, which is
it's a smaller scale. Is it like 25?
Oh no, sorry. What I mean by smaller scale is a smaller scope. Smaller scope.
Okay, so like less figures is what you mean. Okay,
yes,
okay.
Because the starter box is
it looks like 28.
Yeah, no. It's smaller scope. So you have
Wednesday vibes.
Yeah, each side has one hero, and then you get it's like there's one side has a regiment of monstrous cavalry, and then a regiment of spearmen and archers, and the other has a regiment of infantry, a monstrous infantry regiment, and a big monster. Ooh. And from what I've been hearing, that's like it does say it's a starter, but this is pretty representative of a full game.
Okay. It looks like you get like little companies that are about that size for $50.
Yes. So and that's basically going to be your army. It's going to be whatever hero you got plus their little guys. So yeah, the goblin looks great. He's in a mecha suit, and his mecha suit shoots the dogs. It fires dogs out like projectiles.
Skarsnik, get the angel.
Yeah, get in the angel. It looks really good. I was kind of like, oh, all right, that looks dope. Yeah, it looks fun. I mean, I do love me a Kings of War. So
you do love Kings of War. You love smaller scale.
Yep, it's kind of up my alley. Yeah, this one might actually be one I pick up a couple boxes for, because the price is great. Just like we were talking, just like on the those 10mm orcs, like. Oh. Yeah, the sculpts aren't amazing, but fucking $40. Like you can't go wrong with that price.
Those sculpts are rough. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, if you're okay with it, that's perfectly fine. But oof,
Like I said, my eyes were drawn more to the $40 than the sculpts.
I mean, that's like end of the night in a Milwaukee bar type.
I will note that their samurai look much better than the orcs.
Oh, samurai.
So
I still haven't watched Shogun.
Shogun?
Yet.
I haven't either. I've heard it's really good.
I know people love it, and it's my problem is like for you would be, I guess, a little easier because you understand Japanese a little bit better than me, so you could at least somewhat pay attention, like not have to pay attention to pay attention.
Right.
Even though I've heard the Japanese is a little more archaic, but for me, I hate subtitles so much.
Because isn't the whole thing in Japanese just like straight up?
Give me a dub.
That's I will say it is pretty impressive that a show got that popular that doesn't have a dub.
Yeah, I agree. But it's prestige TV. People who watch prestige TV are willing to go a little extra step.
I see, because they're going in the because it's prestige TV. Is that the deal?
Yeah, it's prestige TV. It's like what 6 episodes. People were like, I could deal with this for 6 episodes.
Gotcha. I've been watching Common Side Effects.
Yeah, I've heard that's pretty decent. That's the mushroom one, right?
Yeah, it's fucking great. I would say it's better than decent. It's really fucking good. If it was a live action show, it would absolutely 100% be prestige television. Not even. There is no question in my mind. Like there would be Emmy talk for it already if it was live action. The only thing holding it back is the fact that it's a cartoon and the designs look very weird when they're not moving.
Okay.
The designs don't look. The character designs look weird in pictures, like screenshots. But because they have very big heads and small faces.
So they're like our vice president.
Yes, they're a bunch of Vances.
Oh, by the way, were you added to the group chat? I thought I added you.
You didn't add me to the group chat, bro.
I didn't add you to the group chat.
Didn't add me to the group chat.
Well, you didn't learn about our invasion of like every major African country right now, so there you go.
Yeah, it's really good. I was kind of like, no fucking shit. Yeah, it's really good. I would really like. I hope that it takes off enough that they do a live action one that gets a lot more recognition.
Oh, maybe. I'm binging Shorzy right now, so I'm on the exact opposite end of the spectrum.
Shorzy. I don't know what Shorzy is.
It's a live action Canadian television show about hockey goon.
Oh, okay.
It's actually really, really funny. But it's like,
I mean, is it anything like the movie Goon? Because I really enjoyed that film.
It's a lot more like, yeah, I guess you could say it's a lot like Goon. It's different than Goon. It's more like Slapshot than Goon, if you know Slapshot.
Okay, I do know Slapshot. I used to do a double feature of Slapshot and Goon.
Slapshot is the best sports movie of all time. I put that hands down. Someone brought up Rocky. I'm like, Rocky's good, but Slapshot is better.
Slapshot's a really good movie. Yeah, I'd have to sit and think if there's anything I could consider contention because the thing that Slapshot for me specifically that which gives Slapshot the edge over Rocky is the ensemble cast.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Slapshot has better moments.
Yeah, you got those fucking 3 goobers, the triplets,
the Hanson brothers.
The Hanson brothers.
That's my favorite thing in the world, where it's like they get into the fight before the national anthem, before the puck drop.
Yeah,
if they're all standing there bloody listening to the national anthem.
Yep, they're just bleeding. They're fucking bleeding everywhere.
The ref is coming up to him. He's like, "If you start any shit in this thing," and the guy just looks at him and goes, "I'm trying to listen to the fucking song."
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, Shorzy's a lot like that. It's and I'm sure that there are, for our Canadian listeners up there, they're like, finally some Canadian representation. It's if you watch Letterkenny, it's done by the same guys.
Okay, I have not seen the Letterkenny, so
yeah, I like Shorzy way better than I like Letterkenny.
Okay,
so.
Word. But yeah, no, I've been a big fan of Common Side Effects. That's been my jam lately. It's like it's the one thing I watch in English right now, so it's my like little slice.
That's high praise. High praise.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Big fan, and the voice acting is obviously very good. I do enjoy the characters. It's good. The thing I like about it the most is that it's tight. There is no fluff. It's legit. Like there's no padding. They're getting the fucking story done. There's no meandering. Because I mean, Breaking Bad is a good example. Like I like Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad starts to meander a little bit.
Breaking Bad is actually one of the last great like full season shows that you'll ever watch that there's ever going to be produced again, like that 20 episodes where you can like meander a little bit because you got 20 episodes to play with, you know?
Yes.
Like what Star Trek should be. The reason why new Trek is never going to be as good as old Trek.
Because you're supposed to wander. It's about wandering in space. You got to be able to wander.
It's not about wandering. It's just about touching base with people. I mean, if you have an episode of a TV show where, you know, Worf is allowed to grow a plant and learn a lesson, hey, that's awesome. But when you only got 10 episodes, everything's got to be all jam-packed into one. There's no time for character moments.
It's true. But then that's the thing too, is like I like, you know, should your show have character moments, which is important because like obviously Star Trek should absolutely have character moments. Like yes, like that is not even a question. But you know, there's a lot of shows that don't need that. Like they just kind of don't. I got no other way to put it than that, just other than they just kind of don't need those character moments because like it's basically like how tight is the story? Because Star Trek doesn't have a tight story. Like it's not supposed to, you know. It is a monster of the day or whatever. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. All right, you want to talk some gaming news? I know we already talked about.
Let's do it.
So tell me about BattleTech Gothic.
BattleTech Gothic.
Is that what it's called? BattleTech Gothic.
It's called BattleTech Gothic, and apparently the BattleTech. Are you
jizzing over this?
I am not personally.
No?
I don't think it's like. I mean. It looks cool. I might get some. It's got Alpha Strike cards. Like
Alpha Strike cards.
It doesn't really like I'm not like losing my mind about it, but I mean I think it looks cool. Like will I buy it? Yes. So I guess if that was the question, yes, I will purchase it because it's coming out in a box set.
But you're not getting over it.
No. And the biggest thing for it is that it's that my decision on whether or not I was going to purchase it was made by their answer to a question, which was, you know, like, what the fuck is this? And so it's a spin-off, but it's not a spin-off game.
Okay, so it's not like Laverne and Shirley.
Correct.
Which is a spin-off of Happy Days, which was a spin-off of Love American Style.
It's literally just going to be BattleTech with a different skin.
Oh, okay.
So
it's just a skin.
It's just a skin. So it's gonna have. So it's got its own little like made up lore. It's got cool like made up art. It's you know, cool sculpts that do not like, they look kind of like battle mechs, but have, you know, a 40K aesthetic. They have that goth aesthetic thing going on. But there's also big monsters. I guess there's some kind of alien kaiju that they're fighting. So there's like BattleTech factions are represented, and then also there's kaiju. So seems cool. Like I like it, and the biggest question was like, you know, is this another game? Like, is it a War Machine Horde situation? And the answer was a resounding no. What it is it's a consider it like a what is it, like an Elseworlds kind of thing. So
Elseworlds.
Yes, it's an Elseworlds kind of thing where they're going to do this splash release for BattleTech Gothic. It's going to have this box set, maybe like a couple little individual box or static unit boxes, and that's it. They're not going to make a full range of figures for it. It's not going to have like the size of, you know, the range of the BattleTech line, because it is like they just want to do some, you know, interesting shit for it. They're like, yeah, we're gonna do some cool stuff. That's all. And then they did specifically mention that there's other ideas that have been kicked around. One of them is a Jules Verne style, or no, H.G. Wells style War of the Worlds, like lasers and ray guns aliens. And the other one was anime mechs, okay. which is very funny because several of the BattleTech mechs are called the the BattleTech guys have a funny name for them, but they're like called the ones in shadow or something like that. But there are several mechs that are not used in any BattleTech promotional material. Like you can't find pictures of them online, like from the company, because they're literally stolen mechs from. Oh yeah,
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yes, I think there's one from Macross. I think there's one from Pat Labor, and I think there's one from Votems. If not more. So those ones are never used, and it's just funny that they're doing an anime inspired one. It's like, are you anime inspired? You say?
You say?
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny, but then I was thinking about it, like, I mean, if they do an anime tie-in, it might be interesting. We'll see. But I mean, I think that market would be, at this point, I think BattleTech making that move is would be stupid. I think this move with Gothic is much smarter because the mechs look pretty fucking cool. Like they do look like you smashed the 40K kind of like Gothic aesthetic, like the Titanicus Imperialis aesthetic smashed up against a classic BattleTech mech. It pretty much lines up. It looks pretty good. I'd say it's like it is really that half, like because you look at it and you don't go, it looks like a 40K model, because it doesn't. But it also doesn't quite look like a BattleTech model. So they did a really good job hitting that middle ground. But specifically, I think the anime one's kind of a stupid idea right now because the Gundam Minis game is going to come, and that game, the hype for that game is unfucking believable right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the Gundam Minis game hype is ridiculous. I cannot believe the level of hype for it. It's crazy town.
Okay. I have not heard anything about it, so
yeah, it's gonna be.
I have my finger on the pulse, Steve.
It's gonna be nuts. Yeah, that's a big one. The Gundam Minis game is gonna be huge, and I think it's gonna be even bigger than people anticipate because the Bandai did a super smart move, which was so there's a Gundam card game releasing this year, and then the Minis game is releasing next year. But what they did is they released special edition starter decks for the card game that come with a preview mini.
Ooh, preview mini.
Yes, so they're gonna basically front load a bunch of interest in the minis game with people who might not have had any interest in the minis game by including them with the card game. So shouldn't end up being pretty sick. And like I said, I already know the hype for it's already absolutely huge. The best thing about BattleTech Gothic so far, though, that I've seen there's not a ton of them because it's still BattleTech, but are the memes where they take a picture of BattleTech something, they put the logo BattleTech Gothic and they cross out the logo and they put something else. So I saw one for BattleTech Vietnam, or BattleTech Gothic crossed out Vietnam, and then BattleTech Gothic crossed out Punic Wars.
Ooh, it looks like fun.
It looks like a Roman Centurion battle mech, which is pretty fucking dope looking. And I know they did it as a joke, but I looked at it and I was like, I'd play that. That looks fucking awesome.
There you go. That's an untapped market right there. Like ancient historicals, but like a fantasy version. Kind of.
You're not wrong. I because when I saw that, I just thought of it and I was like, that's never been done.
No.
To my knowledge, that has never been done.
Okay, actually, so in my history, the Punic Wars were fought with giant mechs.
Yes, that's here. I'll post.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'd play that game.
Yeah, right. It sounds fucking dope, right? The coolest thing about the picture is they put a classic, like fucking Jason and the Argonauts style longboat behind it too. I'll post it in.
And the Argonauts.
I love that movie. I'll post it in the general. As is usual, anyone in the Discord in the general chat gets to sometimes see our sweet teasers for things we're talking about on the
sweet teaser.
Yeah, I'm putting a sweet teaser right on it right now.
Sweet teaser is right.
I gotta take a screenshot of it because just the copy paste doesn't work because fucking my Discord hates Firefox sometimes. All right, yeah. Done. Sent. I love my Boomer browser. I'll never change. Right.
What's your Boomer browser?
Firefox.
Oh yeah, I use Firefox all the time. I'm using Firefox right now.
Hey, me too. Yeah, that's right. I ain't getting rid of it. Ain't getting rid of it. Oh, also, almost forgot. So Steamforged has another thing in news. So the official, unofficial relaunch of War Machine is happening.
Yes.
So they had the IP. There were some questions about things going on. They've got it set up. So it's coming to retail side now.
Okay.
So that's the big change because I guess it's been available through Steamforged Direct for a while, but there hasn't been a lot of retail channel availability, I guess. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I've heard. But it is going to be coming to retail soon, and they are putting it in. So we've discussed before, and I will say, for what they can do, I believe that they have an optimal setup for War Machine.
An optimal setup.
Yes. So
that's high praise.
So it is very similar to what we talked about. So there's starters, and the starter has so for the Crick starter, for example, it has a Warcaster, a character Warjack, one solo, and a character unit.
Okay, yeah.
That is the starter.
That works.
Then there is a battle group box, which is a 20-point force that has a warcaster, a heavy warjack, and 2 light warjacks. So starters have the difference between a battle group and a starter is starters will have units. So like that, like I said, it has that character unit in there, and it has a solo. Battle groups are only going to have a warcaster and warjacks.
Okay. I mean, that works.
Yes.
I'm glad they're focusing on the jacks because that's always what suffered in the game and under the last few editions.
Yes. Then Crix is probably not the faction to be looking at for this because they have the least amount of jacks and they always have.
You always look at Crix.
Well, to be fair, they're the first result because it's alphabetical.
It's just also your SEO.
True. But yes, but they are the first result because they are, it is alphabetical. So
Steve's looking at a new game. Show him the undead.
Hey, I mean, I'm endeavoring not to play the undead in Mordheim. I picked up an orc.
That's true. You are playing orcs, which is very unusual for you. You're not an orc player.
I'm going with orcs, baby. So we're gonna make it happen. But so I like the thing, and the idea is the SKU bloat for stores should be maintained and controlled because they are not dumping all of the SKUs on stores. So keep in mind, I'm only going off of a little bit of information here. I don't have the full dossier, as it were. But from what I understand, there's basically it's a $60 box, a $70 box, and then there's 2 deluxe size boxes that are $150, and that's it. The singles are not going to be sold anywhere other than the Steamforged website. So if they release a single, a new I don't know, a solo like the Wraith Dominator, it might come in one of those big boxes, but if you want an extra one, you have to buy it from them directly.
Okay.
Which at first when you hear that, you're like, some people hear them and they might go, oh, that's kind of annoying, and it's like, but when you're talking as a retailer, shelf space has never been at a bigger premium than it is now.
You're correct.
There's no question. The shelf space is I don't even think saying premium. I don't even think I sold it deep enough to how tight shelf space is these days. So having me coming to you and trying to sell you War Machine, a game that already has existed and failed. Let's not mince words here. A game that existed and failed in the market. And I'm going to come back at you and say, hey, yeah, so they're re-releasing this game that failed, and you're going to have to buy 100 SKUs for it. You want in? Who's going to say yes to that? Now, if I come back to you and say, hey, there's 2 SKUs for each faction, and there's 6 factions. There's a total of 12 SKUs. You want in? That's a little more palatable, I'd say. Personally,
yeah, I agree. I think that actually sounds like a pretty decent way, because I was thinking about it. You're at a shop, you're the shop owner, you have a small stand that gets people into it, and they're like, well, what if I want more? And then you could just be like, well, this is what we sell in store. If you want more, you have to go to their website. I'll tell you what, how about you order it through me?
Yeah,
and then the store makes an order.
Yep, that's totally doable. Yeah. That is something that Steamforged would absolutely work with the store with too. Steamforged is pretty good with game stores from my experience. So it's a huge thing, and I think that's great. I think that's smart. I hope that it does well, because I've always liked War Machine. We've always been a pretty reasonably pro War Machine podcast.
We'll give War Machine its bullshit due.
Yes.
We will never hold back in telling a company that they're making really shitty decisions.
Yes. But in this case,
we have no skin in the game when it comes to
Yes. There's no pulling of punches, just because it's just, hey, we're telling it how it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it's good. And the other thing too is I don't know how much, because I know that Steamforged bought War Machine whole hog. They bought fucking everything.
Yeah.
So there might be a bunch of stuff on the website that currently exists for sale that is not actually a active model. And what I mean by that is because there's that double format thing going on, and I believe that they're still leaving that be. they're not going to create more models for it other than, by the default of making new stuff. But there's stuff that you can buy on here that I don't know if you can use in current edition War Machine, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because there's like a few singles, because I mean, and like the Crix, or I'm sorry, the Signar have a pretty I mean, compared to what it was, it's it's a ghost of what it was, but like they've got they've got 38 listings on the
I mean, that's
Signar
still pretty
faction.
good. I mean, that's more than most Age of Sigmar armies.
Yeah. I mean, it is, that's true, but it's also kind of like, it's like a half truth, because there's the like there's a Warjack that is one Warjack, but it's got 2 listings. There's one that's just a chassis. So some of it is kind of like, I'd say, like fluffed out. So I don't know for sure. I would love to know if anyone is looking at War Machine, please let me know. I do really like they've got a Warcaster, Captain Rafe Huxley.
Ooh, Rafe Huxley.
Rafe Huxley. It looks like what the fuck's his name? The dude from fucking Firefly. What's the actor's name?
Which one? Nathan Fillion?
Yeah. It looks like Nathan
Okay.
Fillion in a huge ass suit of power armor.
Oh, okay. He does have a very chiseled jaw.
He does. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. It's funny because his power armor is like huge and massive and awesome looking. There's just like little doofy head sticking out of it. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I am interested to see how it goes. Will I be purchasing it for myself? Probably not.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility, but at this time, kind of probably not. I mean, I'm really much more interested in playing Mordheim right now, and then the other game that's caught my eye is Hobgoblin, brutal fantasy battles, which I'm very much looking forward to giving a shot. That's been that is currently the apple of my eye by Planet Smasher Games, and what Hobgoblin is a minis agnostic rank and flank game. The idea is they want you to be able to play huge games rapidly. And to put it into practice, the point scale is roughly equivalent to Warhammer, give or take. And 2 people played a 16,000 point game and they finished in 5 hours.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Imagine playing a 16,000 point game of Warhammer Fantasy and finishing it in 5 hours, because that is what they did.
I don't think I could. I don't know how I would play that game.
No. And so the way it works is, instead of having, so unlike the Kings of War style, where they kind of have their own factions with their own interior design per faction, the idea for Hobgoblin is they want you to just use whatever fucking shit you want. And the way that they implemented that is, instead of buying like a unit that's quite obviously like Chaos Warriors, but they're not called Chaos Warriors, right?
No,
instead
they're
of going
disorganized fighters.
Yes. So you don't buy the disorganized fighters. What you just do is you buy keywords. So you start with heavy infantry, which gives you a baseline point cost of 200 points.
Yeah, okay, I know. I see what you're getting at here. Yeah.
Yep. And then you go, okay, and they're Khorne, so I'm giving them Berserkers, which adds 50 points. They're double hand weapons, so 2 hand weapons. That gives them another 50 points. Now they're 300. And you're like, they're extra tough because they're chosen. So now they're 400 points. And then you basically make a block by buying the keywords and slapping it together. Chosen warriors. I got the Chosen warriors, the Necrones, the Crone Berserkers versus the Chosen.
Well, you turn into Rip Torn there for a second.
I was trying to do a little bit of an Ed Spedigue.
Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Gentlemen,
what do you think you're doing?
I actually just painted a figure from Ed's company the other day.
Oh, I love Ed's figures. They're great.
Yeah, I was it's a little, he's on my Instagram. He's like a little plague monk, but he has like a sniper rifle. Not a plague monk, a plague doctor. And he has a sniper rifle.
That's awesome.
I have made a character for him. He is a gnome. A gnome cleric who is just his whole specialization is in firearms.
What's his minis game called?
Is it Battle Lore or Battle Valor? I think it's Battle Valor.
Battle Valor. I think it is Battle Valor. That sounds about right. That sounds really correct.
That sounds very correct.
It does. Battle Valor Fantasy. That looks like it because it's 15 millimeter, right?
Yeah, he has 15 and 28.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So battle. Yeah, it is Battle Valor. Battle Valor is 15 millimeter. Good. It's a good game. I remember I looked at the rules. I thought they were pretty dope.
The 15 millimeter is great, but the 28 millimeter stuff is really cool. Old Hammer kind of sci-fi stuff. So if you are looking for that, Ed Spedigue, former head of United States Midwest Games Workshop.
Battle Valor Fantasy 15 millimeter looks cool. And then that actually brought me to my point where I was, I always kicked around the idea of playing War Master because I really like the scale, but War Master's fiddly and like I got to get people to actually play War Master with the rules. But you know what I can do? I can fucking play War Master scale with Hobgoblin.
There you go.
So I'm finally going to do it. I'm finally going to have War Master armies that I can actually play with because we use the fucking easy to use Hobgoblin rules. So when I want to make 2 armies, I just make 2 epic armies or 2 War Master scale armies and I go, bam, come over play Hobgoblin. It takes like 2 fucking seconds to learn. Super easy.
Well, there you go. It sounds like the army building it takes the longest amount of time.
Yeah, and but it has an army builder on the website where you can just fucking click buttons and make the units you want and print it out and you'll be done.
Oh, that's cool. Because I will tell you that I am having the most difficulty I've ever had in making characters for D&D with an online army builder. No one can just make an easy army builder anymore. Or no, a character builder anymore. It's always got to be some weird fucking complicated thing. All I want to do is make an artisan. You know how hard it is to get artisan rules on an army builder?
I have no idea.
Speaking of, let's get away from your game that like 3 people have heard of, and talk about the utter collapse of the D&D online tabletop game.
Hey, at least 13 people have heard about it now because I said it on this podcast.
It's true. You did say this on the podcast, so 13 people have heard of it. Also, don't let me forget, I have to ask you a question about die-cast figures.
Okay.
Yes, I know that's a weird segue, but I just don't want to forget that. No, the Dungeons and Dragons tabletop simulator, which was called
Sigil.
Sigil. I was going to call it Foundry, but that's the other company. Sigil has already disappeared into the ether. It's kind of like everything we were talking about, where it seems like, well, this didn't seem like it was a well thought out product, and apparently it wasn't.
I think
at least wasn't given the money to be.
I think the thing that explained it all when I saw a blurb of someone on the team was talking about how a guy kept talking about all of the monetization that they were going to be doing, and no one on the team had any idea what that idea was.
Yeah, I think what they wanted to do was they wanted to do like microtransactions essentially, which was exactly what they wanted to do, but it wanted to be like, oh, you want to buy a specific spell. Here, you could buy this spell for 99 cents. And they're like, well, how would we do that in the system? That's not how it works. And they're like, you need to do it.
Let's go with that. But think about it like this. If that was the intention, that's great. But the dude in charge of the project didn't tell anyone that.
Oh.
So he didn't tell anyone what the plans were on. That's what it was. The guys were like, they're supposedly like, basically imagine your boss telling you every time that he talks to you that he can't wait for the monetization to get going, but you and no one on your team knows what the fuck he's talking about. Because that's what had happened. They were basically given directives and monetization was talked about and discussed a lot of times, but no one told them what to monetize, how to monetize, or what the idea to monetize was.
Sounds like a business major.
Yeah.
Just like we're gonna monetize it. What does that mean, sir? Monetize. Do you know what that means, sir? No.
Yeah. Yeah. It was basically someone who was just like, this is gonna make money, and like they didn't actually pay attention, or try and like actually implement anything. Because like I said, when I got like, I think I might not have said it, but I thought it when I used it, as I was like, what is this thing for? Like, who is this for? That's what I couldn't figure out.
I just like the idea of the guy sitting there going, and like it's like, all right, it goes live, and now the money rolls in, and
yes,
like,
yeah, he was literally the fucking South Park joke. It was something blank profit.
Yeah.
Like, and his list apparently was Dungeons and Dragons monetization blank profit.
Well, no, it's not even that. I just think he thought that internet equal money is what he thought. Like, he was writing out all this stuff on the blackboard, and finally, like, after all of it pans back, and there's all these scribbles with equations, and it just shows like a big circle around internet equals money. And he's like, finally, I have it.
I've cracked the code. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, I don't know. I would never, ever, ever pay money on microtransactions for Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I do because I buy each book. I guess that's kind of a microtransaction.
That's not a microtransaction
That's what I'm saying.
at all.
It's kind of.
Yeah, no.
But it's like I'm paying for it. Yeah.
If it was just a digital platform that sold you the digital platform, that's what D&D Beyond is already. That's the problem, is like, what was Sigil supposed to be? Because your digital platform that you sell a digital version of your physical books already exists, and it's Beyond. So the only thing that they could have done to monetize beyond that would have been buying like minis, like buying digital minis, or
and I could see that.
Yeah, no, that's something that I could see. If you got custom minis that you were able to buy and like use in your game, I could see people dropping a couple bucks on that. That is something that I see as being like actually something viable. Like import your hero builder figure into Sigil, or
that's what I was saying. Like what someone needs to do is they need to do it with hero builder. And get your mini so that you could put it digitally and you could print it out and have your fucking mini. Even though, let me tell you, those fucking figures are as fragile as a bird's wing.
Well, what I would do, because I'm not hero builder, and I'm like in this scenario where I'm Hasbro, I would just supplant hero builder. I would just put that in Sigil.
That would be the smart move. Yes,
I would just be like, this is our version. It's for Dungeons and Dragons. You $2 gives you the rights to your figure forever. You can download the STL file, print it yourself. We'll print it for you for a nominal fee, and you can use it in all of our digital platforms. Here's your character. Because D&D characters are fucking invincible now anyway, so it's not like your character's gonna die. Your character will not die without your permission. So you might as well like sell that, because that's what people are buying.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Actually, I was thinking about this, not to get on too much of a tangent, but this is what Game Classy is. It's all about the tangent. With the characters not dying anymore, I think D&D should make a bigger deal out of the end game, if you know what I mean.
A conclusion
For your character.
Yes.
Like, that's what you should be building towards in your Dungeons and Dragons stories now, because of the way that the characters are. You shouldn't be looking at the ongoing adventure. You should be looking at the conclusion to your adventure for this character, and then you start a new one.
I mean, when we played D&D, that was always like when this is like my back in the day D&D. So this was like 3rd edition, 2nd edition era. As you know, I was really young, but I played with older kids, and his dad was running the game. So I played with an adult, older kids, and then kids my age, and we all played together. And one of the things we did, because we played second ed, if your character got strong enough to like get a manse or a castle, eventually we didn't play to fucking level 20. It would be like, 1 or 2 characters survived, got to level 12 or whatever, and those characters would retire. And they would become a part of the background, and they'd become a part of the world. So then it was awesome. Like, we played another game, and I remember it was super cool because the one of the mages, his name was like Hubbub or something. It was like the stupidest name, but the dude was just unkillable because the kid was just so lucky his character wouldn't die. He would just pass every saving throw with Hubbub, and Hubbub survived and eventually became like a level 14 wizard. So 2nd edition level 14 wizard is fucking insanely powerful. And during the last campaign, he survived and our cleric survived, but everyone else died. And the DM was like, okay, I think it's time to start a new campaign. I think this is a good stopping point. And they're like, well, what about these dead characters? And like, well, we'll see about that. And then in our game world story, Hubbub retired and became a fucking mage tower living mage. He's a wizard who lives in a tower, and the cleric went on his own holy quest to resurrect his friends. So that was the end of that campaign.
There you go.
Two campaigns later, we found a fucking wizard's tower, and we found a fucking dude who had turned himself into a mimic, and it was fucking Hubbub.
Oh.
And we rescued Hubbub, and he's like, oh, thanks for saving me. Here's this fucking juicy ass reward. My name's Hubbub. I'm a hero. And the kid who played Hubbub was like out of his fucking mind excited to meet his old character with his new character.
That sounds sweet.
It was great. It was totally awesome. And then we found, we found through that interaction with Hubbub that the cleric did succeed, and the previous characters that all died are all living in the same village somewhere together.
Aw, you should write that as a green text and post it on 4chan.
I will not.
It's like you know what is it? Optimistic D&D or whatever that's called.
No, it just, I mean, that is more interesting to me because you're playing in the world rather than around the world with your immutable character. Like you're not like, that's the thing. Like characters exist outside. Like D&D characters now exist outside their worlds. They're an immutable golem that cannot be touched or affected by the goings on in their worlds respectively. It just doesn't work. Like, because they're super invincible. No one wants to let go of their characters unless, like I said, it's like a pre-made permission. You've decided to die, and I think that's a shame because I think it makes everything far less interesting. Because it was way more tense when you might actually fucking die going into the dungeon.
But that's why I think that there needs to be a shift. Because the idea of dying at, once you reach level 4, you're not going to die. I mean, there's a possibility. I've had a couple opportunities to kill off characters. Let me be honest.
Mm-hmm. It's unlikely though. You kind of have to intend to do it.
I don't, dude. When you have like a tense fight going on, shit
luck notwithstanding as well. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, like I've had a couple times where I've rolled like even with a low level, not like a low level goon, but just like what are those serpent people called? Like Utani?
Wanti?
Yeah, the Wanti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I've had one of those go up against a party and nearly just destroy a guy on hit points and kill him.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
Very.
But that's what I'm saying is like once now that we've kind of into this era of with the free action to take a potion, fuck it, it's all over.
It truly is.
If a guy's running around with 20, you have to run encumbrance because the guy will run around with 100 potions, and just if anytime it comes down to it, he will take it as a free action.
Yep,
take a potion.
Just the potion chugger.
Yeah, a potion chugger. But the what was I saying on that one? Oh yeah, you can do that, but the shift should be to what's going to be the end game for your characters. Like, okay, I've reached level 10. You're retiring this character. We're moving on to a new character. We're going to start over again.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it too is that people don't run stories either. Like they grab a campaign book and they like run that for their characters, and then they go to the next campaign book with those same characters. So rather than going, I'm running this adventure that's made for level 1 to 4 characters, and then the expected, I believe the standard expectation now is if you guys finish that campaign, you will then be going into a campaign made for level 5 to 9 or whatever. Like that's the expectation. Is like you're going to use the same characters you use from level 1 to 4, and you're going to go into levels 5 to 6 or whatever the fucking level ranges are. My personal thing would be like, why not just make characters that start at level 4?
Yeah, I mean, you can honestly do that. I actually kind of prefer starting a character at a level 2 or 3, just because it makes that jump to 4 a little easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like you don't have to have level. If you want to run an adventure that's made for characters 15 to 18, you don't need to run a bunch of adventures to get a level 1 character to 15 to do it. You can just have people start at level 15. Like with new characters, like it is possible. Yeah, so I agree with that. And there's just no end game. That's the problem.
Yeah, there is no end game. All right. So yeah, I did want to ask about the D&D stuff with the diecast. Have you seen the diecast D&D figures?
I have not.
So these kind of flew under the radar. I don't think anybody really knew about them. So I guess a cheap ass Chinese company, probably D&D, had the license and was licensing out die-cast figures for Dungeons and Dragons, not like for the game, but just like as die-cast figures. They do those all the time. Like there's Harry Potter ones and Marvel ones. But I was like, for Dungeons and Dragons though, that's like a legit thing, is having a metal figure for your tabletop. Now these are bigger than.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's by the Jada Toy Store.
Yeah, Jada.
Yeah, no, they're just metal, shiny ass looking toys.
They look like they're 32, but I will tell you, That is one of the best fucking beholders I've ever seen.
That
like
beholder
in metal.
That beholder fucking kicks ass. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I ordered some of them. I kind of want to see just how they are, but I also want to know: can you strip diecast like that? You think?
I guess you would need to know what the material is, but I don't see why not. You just give it a shot with purple power and see.
That's what I'm gonna give that a try. Because it's probably like not lacquer, but not acrylic paint. What's the model paint stuff? The super glossy stuff. I can't think of it. What's the
Testers?
Yeah, like testers. What's testers made out of?
Isn't that acrylic?
I don't think it's acrylic. I think it's something else, but because I think it's thicker.
Enamel.
Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Because I think it's enamel. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna give it a try because I want to strip them and see if I can repaint them to look better. And there's some sweet shit in there, like stuff that's never been released in metal, really. Like there's like a tiefling, right? Tieflings well, I guess there have been like demonic quotation mark figures for other companies, like kind of sort of tieflings, but there's never been like official metal D&D tieflings, I think.
You'd have to go back. You'd have to go back and see if they did them for Chainmail 3rd edition.
Yeah, I'd have to because I don't even know if they had tieflings, but they probably did.
Dungeons & Dragons Chainmail Tiefling Fighter.
Oh, there you go. So I'm a fool right now.
From set 2, he looks very well. Let me just say, if Tiefling, I'm gonna put this in the general as well, because if Tieflings still look like this, they'd be a whole lot fucking cooler. Let me tell you.
Is it nude?
It's not nude, but it does look way cooler.
Is it a never nude?
There's dozens of us.
Dozens of us.
Yeah, no, he looks fucking cool though. Because Tieflings were from something, weren't they? From Planescape?
Not Planescape. Tieflings were from. Oh fuck. Maybe they were from Planescape. Now I think about it. I know that the Gith were from Dark Sun, I think.
Planescape. Bam. Damn, I'm good.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty sweet looking tiefling.
First appearance of Tiefling was the Planescape campaign setting in 1994. More information in the Planescape Monstrous Compendium 1994 and the Planeswalker's Handbook 1996.
1994. That was a great year. Newt Gingrich's contract with America started. The great downhill slide.
I think that started when Reagan took office, but hey, whatever.
Well. He did say well a lot.
He did. Well, Gorbachev knocked this wall down.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. God, I love the chainmail figures.
The chainmail figures are fucking awesome. They're so good.
Yeah, I actually saw a guy selling like a big box of them for like $200, and it was like it was just enough where it made me want to buy it.
Yeah,
like 200.
Yeah, I could see it because they exist in like a very like they're kind of like that tiefling though. That one, if you want him, only $15.
That tiefling fucks.
He's only $15.
Yeah,
so
well, all tieflings do apparently.
Yes.
Anybody you play with will tell you that.
Yes. There's actually quite a good amount of chainmail stuff around. They look to be about an average of $10 to $15 a figure.
Yeah, they're not that expensive.
So I mean that's pretty cool. It's probably because there's just there's a million bajillion super cheap ass plastic versions of stuff for D&D.
I know, and it's just like you can't. There's no accounting for taste.
Because I mean, look at this. I'm gonna put this fucking ogre picture in the fucking general chat as well. Because this fucking ogre, like, this is fucking dope shit right here. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this fucking sculpt. Look at this shit.
I know. I have that figure. I literally have it in my collection right now.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm fucking talking about. And that ogre's only $14. So there you go.
I think someone on their forum was collecting chainmail or something like that.
I could see it. Yeah. It looks like a very fun line to collect.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been going down a deep rabbit hole of discontinued 90s and early 2000s minis lately.
Is this all because of Clan War?
It's because of Clan War.
I knew it.
I went through and I organized all of my Clan War. I bought a bunch of blister packs from Amazon, like the plastic clamshells. Mm-hmm. So everything is now organized in clamshells, like by units. Mm-hmm. So I feel a lot better about organizing it. But as I'm going through, I'm just like, oh, I love this figure. Oh, I love this figure. Oh, I should paint this figure. Oh, I love this figure.
Nice.
Literally, like going through every one of them because they're so bad, but I absolutely adore them.
That's awesome. Apparently, there's a Warhammer preview tonight, starting tonight for Adepticon.
Yeah, tonight is the Warhammer preview. We're gonna miss it though, I think.
Yeah. I mean, are we really gonna miss it?
No, because it's gonna be just a bunch of garbage.
Well, yeah, when we saw it, because we did see the preview of the preview, and nothing was very like, oh my god, so excited. It's like, yep, there's gonna be something for 40K, there's gonna be something for Age of Sigmar, there's gonna be something for Old World, and there's gonna be something for Kill Team.
And no Lord of the Rings, which with the new edition coming out, I was thinking that might be the big release.
Yeah, I guess not.
Because they've talked about that though, where there's a new edition of Lord of the Rings dropping.
I don't think it's a new edition, but it is a new box set.
No. They talked about a new edition coming out just recently, which makes sense because I've actually seen a couple releases from the Lord of the Rings minis game, the last edition that just came out at half price books.
Okay.
And the books there was a couple sets, and I was like, wow, someone's like dumping it because there's new editions coming out.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say from people I've talked to who do play Lord of the Rings, apparently there's a lot of expectations on this next edition because the current edition of Lord of the Rings is really good.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Like
they're saying they're saying it's exceptional. They're like, this is the best game that Games Workshop is currently making. So that's some high praise. So
that is. Yeah, and just so you know, we already talked about this. Me and you talked about this, but there's a piece of Tyranid terrain that's coming out, and that's going to be for Kill Team.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the Old World, I think they're gonna. Let's see, they just did High Elves, so I think the next release is Beastmen, probably, right?
For Old World, yeah, it would have to be an evil faction. So
no, because they did Empire then High Elves.
Oh, they did. Huh, you're right.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be evil, but I think it's either Beastmen or Wood Elves, because I think that's all that's left.
Well, they did Orcs.
Yeah.
They did Chaos as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's only just Beastmen and what's it called? What's its nuts? And what else? Yeah.
Yeah, because let's see. They did Empire, they did Bretonnia, they did Dwarves, they did High Elves, they did Orcs and Goblins. Yeah, it is literally just those two left. That's it.
Yeah. So I think
maybe. Oh, hey, maybe they'll do both. Maybe they'll do Wood Elves. Maybe they'll do. Oh shit! What if they do a Wood Elf versus Beastman box set?
They're not going to do that.
What if they do?
I mean, what if Ed Spedigue comes back and he's dressed like Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs?
I mean, that would be
that
would be very interesting.
Steve, would you fuck me? I would fuck me.
No, I mean that's great that you would, sir, but not I wouldn't. Interesting.
Goodbye, horses.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That seems interesting. We'll see. I mean, that would be such a like sensical box set to do for a starter. Like, because I mean, like this would be the time frame to do another box set, right? Like,
oh yeah, for sure. No, for Age of Sigmar, no,
for not a new edition, but a new boxed set for the Old World.
No, like because they specifically said for the Old World they're never doing a 2-player box set.
Yeah, but this is the time that they could break that and they could do it with Wood Elves versus Beastmen. Yeah,
the two most popular factions.
They're a very sensible faction to have a versus, you know.
Yeah, there have been so many times when I myself have tripped over a Wood Elf player in a game store. And just every 5 seconds, like, oh, excuse me, oh, you're playing Wood Elf, so am I. Then the other guy says, like, are you talking about me? I said, no, I'm talking to this Wood Elf player. He goes, oh, I'm a Wood Elf player too.
I think I played against Wood Elves. Let's see. I was a pretty fucking active tournament grinder for Warhammer Fantasy. And I think I played against Wood Elves in a tournament once.
I mean, they weren't like the most unpopular army. It's just that I know that many people did not play them.
Yeah. I mean, they got a lot more popular in Age of Sigmar when they were fucking insane with Treeman. And there was probably some point where I had moved on from Warhammer Fantasy and they were good.
Yeah.
So I'm probably wrong there. But I can tell you, 6th edition and the 7th edition, ain't nobody was playing Wood Elves.
That's true. It's very true. Oh man. So yeah, and then who knows? They're probably just gonna do like a splash release army for 40K. Who knows what it's gonna be? There's gonna be some preview for something or other.
I'd love to be wrong and impressed. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. I would love to be wrong and impressed. Please do so, Games Workshop.
Yeah. And yeah, that's about it. There's not gonna be anything else. It sounds like this is gonna be a very, very even Games Workshop doesn't want to go to Milwaukee. It sounds like.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think there was definitely something I was looking at where I was like, I'm not seeing a lot of activity amongst people from Chicago talking about Adepticon.
I'm sure it'll be a big hit. There's an absolute assload of fucking minis players in Wisconsin, so
It's true.
I'm certain that anyone who's not coming from our local area will be supplanted, possibly doubled by people who are our mindset, but over there.
It'll be fine. I'll tell you what, man. That's why we got to start ClassyCon.
Is that where we just like do a Kickstarter, do a convention, and then just never do it?
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that idea. No, ClassyCon. We just do it. It's a 3 tournament of convention. Just go back to the old school. There's a 40K. There's a Warhammer Fantasy, and there's an Old World and an Age of Sigmar tournament. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
We do it. We plan it 2-1. So it's 2. We assume that it's 2 40K players for every Old World player or Age of Sigmar player.
Sure.
Might even be 3-2-1. 40K Age of Sigmar, Old World.
I think we could probably just do 4-1 and call it a day.
Yeah, 4-1. And we set it up like that. We even rent out the old space where Adepticon used to be over at the Hilton over there.
Oh, nice.
Whatever. Yeah, we just rent that out. We do it old school style. We set up tables. We have like cheap ass fucking terrain up there. We do it so old school, but it's just like Chicago invite ClassyCon. We have our own painting competition.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we get the local stores to set up some booths. We get Grognard's and Games Plus and
sure,
fucking Dice Dojo and all those places. Just like set up your booth. There you go. This is how we're gonna do it. This is what the turn. It's nothing fancy. We're not going too out of control here, people.
Yeah,
and that's the way we do it.
Yeah,
no bolt action. No, saga. No Malifaux, no War Machine. This is a straight up old school Games Workshop convention.
With no requirement for you to use Games Workshop models, of course.
Oh, yeah. No. We're not Games Workshop affiliated in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That's why we're allowed to talk about them in the ways that we want.
That's true. Yeah. You just use whatever the fuck you want. So,
yeah. Use whatever the fuck you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's got to be painted, though.
Yeah. 3 colors. 3 colors and based.
3 colors and based.
That's a standard rule. Like if it's not 3, if you can't 3 colors and base, like get at this point in the miniatures hobby, if you can't 3 colors and base, that's a fucking skill issue, bro. Like, I understood it before when there was not as accessible ease of painting stuff, but I mean, like, come on, like I've seen people who just do fucking spray white, do appropriate colors with a quick shade and fucking call it, and you know what? Good enough. That's good enough.
And that's what I say. I'd have a painting competition. I would run a painting competition. It would be straight single model unit, large model. Like that's it.
And you gotta have dual.
No, I'm not doing dual. No,
you gotta have dual. You gotta have dual.
No. Here's the reason why, Steve. Every one of the models that it has to be entered has to be playable on the tabletop. So that must mean it'd be tabletop legal.
Yes, which means you need to figure out a way to do that with your dual.
I mean, maybe, but I'm not going that far. I want to do single model, unit, large model.
I love dual because the other thing I would have is no sculpts.
No sculpt.
You got no custom sculpts.
Yeah, I would say stock model.
Yeah, stock model. That's what I'm saying. You got to use a stock model. It can be a 3D print. It can be any model you'd like, but you cannot modify the model. It must be the miniature as is.
Can't modify the model, sir. And
if we do not recognize the model, you have to show us the original miniature, and it cannot be modified. No conversions allowed. If the conversions are allowed, it's the conversion contest.
There you go. Yeah, best original model. Best original model.
I like that. That's a really good category.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a good. Actually, an original model category is really good because that would give people who want to do the fucking crazy sculpting and all that shit like a spot to be in, where they'll be competing against people who are exclusively doing that, which I would say is a pretty fair way to judge a model in a painting competition. If everyone to enter the category has to do the thing,
You got to do the thing.
I mean,
You do the thing. You can't enter without doing the thing.
I mean, that seems pretty fair to me.
Oh well. So one last thing I wanted to talk about, unless there's something else that I specifically missed.
I don't think so.
Think so. I did. I showed you today my pickup, which was my Legend of the Burning Sands: The Awakening Celestial Alliance box set.
Very cool.
I know. I happened to be at a used bookstore and I saw these two little boxes and I was like, I recognize that font. That's Legend of the Burning Sands. I got them for $4 a piece. These things are awesome. Because we were talking about your love of dead TCGs and how sometimes you just want to like buy a shitload of one game or another and just set up decks for them.
Yep, and just jam it as like a boxed game.
Yeah, like what was the one you wanted? X-Files. The X-Files.
X-Files.
TCG.
I'm still thinking about it, man.
You should. I was looking it up. There's the graveyard of dead TCGs is very, very full.
Yes, it is. It is. I know. I can get sealed starter deck for $10 for the X-Files.
Yeah, you should. You should do that because the game looks ridiculous. I was looking at some of the cards after we talked about it.
Oh, it's awesome.
Like, who wants to get the Samantha Scully deck?
It's so fucking cool, dude. I love the aesthetic for the cards. They look so cool.
They do look very cool. It is a very cool aesthetic.
Yeah, and they used real stuff for the. So anyone who, if you haven't looked up the X-Files CCG, please do yourself a favor and just look up X-Files CCG cards so you can see what they look like. So what they did is they used stills from the show. It would be like where the art is for, you know, your Magic card equivalent. But the way that they did the card borders and the aesthetic is they made it look like files, notes, the evidence, things like that. So there's like event cards have like they have like a dossier and there's like a pencil on the thing, like some crime scene tape, and there's like the game text looks like typewriter, and the flavor text looks like handwritten notes on the card. So just the style
went into the game. It was like there was someone who really loved designing that game.
Absolutely, yeah. So someone really spent time to design it, and the character cards look really, really cool. The character cards look like straight up dossier, like headshots. Like they're really cool.
So Mulder doesn't have his pose from Humbug where he's got the big pants on. He's doing that pose.
He does not, and it's got it's got his game effect. It's got like, and there's a shit ton of stats, and not all the characters have all the stats. It's really cool. I don't know, it's a really, really fun game. Man, I'm thinking about it now.
You thinking about them beans?
Think about them beans. Can't stop thinking about them beans. You know, if there was a supplement for the X-Files card game that had anything to do with Twin Peaks, that would be pretty sick.
A Twin Peaks collectible card game?
No. Not a Twin Peaks collectible card game. I actually think a Twin Peaks supplement for the X-Files collectible card game would be sick as fuck.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So like you just throw some Twin Peaks stuff into the X-Files card game using the X-Files card game rules and standards. So but you have like, you know, fucking, I mean, dude, how fucking cool would it be to have Coop and Mulder?
I mean, yeah, I'm 100% agreeing with you, but it's like Twin Peaks walked so X-Files could run. I always say
that is true. That is true. I will say, you know,
well, you could actually have Mulder, but as a transsexual.
Oh, Denise.
Yeah, you could have Denise. I couldn't think of the name.
You could have Denise. Yeah, you could have Denise. That'd be pretty good. I will say Cooper fucking smokes Mulder as a fucking FBI agent, though.
Well, of course, because Cooper has like all of his, you know, yogi tricks.
That's true.
Like throwing balls and shit.
That's true. Well, Cooper was an eccentric, but he was a very effective agent. Mulder was just kind of a fucking space cadet who just like didn't get fired.
It's true. But Mulder had friends in high places who wanted to get the X-Files out there.
True.
At least for the first 2 seasons, and then it's like, how does he still have a job?
Yes, yeah, that's yeah. From protocol and procedures, he's just like like there's there. I mean, I'd like to think that like someone was like you have to assume that someone was protecting him behind the scenes, right?
Oh, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
That's what the first few seasons. It was like a congressman or a senator. I don't remember what his name was, but that was like the main thing was that he was the one who was protecting Mulder, and then he was unable to do it because Mulder did something. He was like, I have to distance myself from you.
yeah. Was it Blevins? Was his name Blevins?
Might have been.
There was a dude. I know there was a senator named Blevins or something. He was a fucking old dude with glasses. That's all I remember. I could. It literally could just be a one-off character from an episode that just like flashed into my memory. So I could totally be wrong. But yeah, that's crazy. Although Triple X Xenophile is available as well. I can get a sealed box of 24 packs for $250.
Ooh.
Triple X Xenophile is the only, as far as I know, adult TCG that has ever existed. It's got people fucking on the cards, bro. It's made by the Foglios. Come on,
By the who?
Oh, do you not know the Foglios? Phil and Kaja Foglio. Oh,
No. Or
yeah.
the
So
artist?
they were, and actually they were pretty prominent fantasy artists around that like early '90s thing. They actually, I mean, Wizards has distanced themselves from them as far as they possibly can because they still make fucking porn. But
there's nothing wrong with making porn.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with making porn. That was not my intention. So if anyone thinks that I was saying that, that's not what I meant. Yeah, no, I support pornography and I support pornographers. But yeah, if it was Phil and Kaja Foglio, I do actually quite literally support some pornography, like financially. So yes. But
support your local pornographer.
Yes, thank you, Rat Wang. That's his name. His name is Rat Wang. But anyway, so they did some magic arts here. I'll post this in general here. Mirror Universe. Here's a classic one. You might maybe recognize the art when you see it if you don't recognize the name. But yeah, so I threw some other. Yeah, they did a bunch of fantasy art for Magic. Yeah, for sure. And they did some stuff for Portal. They did a lot of cards. They even did stuff
like
up
ElfQuest. The art looks like ElfQuest style.
They're from. I would say they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah,
not the same artist, but they're cut from the same cloth. But anyway, so they did a ton of art for Magic, and obviously this was the first TCG boom because Magic came out, and they were like, damn, like there's fucking money in this thing, and them being them, they were like, well, we want to do a fucking card game like
with porn.
Right. Like, oh, we can do it with porn. So then there you go. You got the Triple X Xenophile. They made their porn CCG. It is a porn CCG. I don't know if it's good or not. I never played it, but there is a card called Amorous Blob, for example, which is a slime that has just people fucking it on the picture.
Shunt.
Yeah, very much shunt. But they did not exclusively do the art. It wasn't just them. They got other contemporary fantasy artists to do sexy art as well. There's nothing like super graphic, I would say. Like there's like boobs, there's definitely some bush, but there's no like. That's
probably the most controversial part, considering it was a '90s game.
The bush.
Yeah,
bushes are making a comeback, bro.
Hey.
It is becoming trendy once again to rock a bush.
There you go.
But yeah, so yeah, that's all. So interesting anecdote. But hey, it's apparently valuable because it's it's more expensive to buy a box of. It's double the price, actually more than double the price to buy a sealed box of Triple X Xenophile than a box of X-Files.
Yeah. Hey, I wouldn't doubt it, but I was I got my 2 big boxes of the Star Trek cards sitting here staring at me. I still have not opened them yet.
What are you thinking about? Are you thinking you're gonna suck? I mean, you did get the valuable ones. I don't know if you.
I know I did get the valuable. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with them. That's the thing is like I'm debating.
Like on the one hand, I would normally say you should open and play with them because that'll be fun. However, on the other hand, you could sell them as they are, like for the proper market amount, and then you can take the money you got, buy the cheaper versions, and still have money left over to do something else with.
I know. Well, I have been selling off my D&D collection, a lot of my older stuff. I figured now is the time, kind of like I need to start liquidating some of my older shit, make some room. So I sold off all of my Al-Qadim and Dark Sun stuff. And that's what I was telling you about, the one guy who's like, I priced out, I sell them in lots is what I was doing. And the guy was like, I've priced these all out. And I've seen stuff in much better condition for, $100 cheaper than what you're selling it for. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just wait and see if anybody buys it. And someone eventually bought it, and for the price that I had it out for. Yeah. So I do have a lot of funny money to play with right now.
Nice.
So I was thinking, because I have these sweet Legends of the Burning Sands cards.
Legend of the Burning Sands is a very fun game.
I was looking at the wiki for it, and my favorite part of this is the first 3 Legend of the Burning Sands sets were released under FRPG's experimental Rolling Thunder system, which emphasized small regular releases of cards. The Rolling Thunder distribution mechanism proved to be unpopular, so the game was put on hiatus.
That is accurate.
Yeah, there was only 4 sets of Legends of the Burning Sands ever released.
Yeah, cool game though, very cool. It has a lot. I mean, obviously, it has a lot of similarities with Legend of the Five Rings. Obviously,
well, I was just talking about the entire AEG kind of family of Legend of the Burning Sands, 7th Sea, and Clan War, or Legend of the Five Rings. Were awesome. It's like that was a fantastic fantasy setting that all 3 were kind of taking place in.
Yeah.
And it kind of just faded out into existence. They're still around, but it's just, they never really capitalized on how cool those systems were. Legend of the Five Rings was the only one that really kind of stuck around.
Yep, and then they kept going, but they eventually kind of like Ouroboros themselves, and they got to a point where they catered to a specialist. I mean, not specialist. They catered to their
niche?
Market.
Yeah,
they catered to their niche, but unfortunately, they had sculpted their niche so expertly, there was no room to grow. So when they were like, "Hey, we want to get more people into this game, so we're going to do a new edition and do this stuff," they killed the guys who were playing their game, who all was just like, "Well, forget that. We're not doing this," and nobody else was interested. So it kind of like pooped out.
Yeah, I mean, all
and then of course the Fantasy Flight disaster LCG is well documented.
Yeah, on this podcast.
That's true.
But as I was saying, it's just like those are 3 really great RPG systems as well. Not the systems weren't great, but the setting was great.
Settings are dope.
Yeah, the RPG system wasn't terrible.
They're not the worst, but I mean they're of their time, so they're real like. They're in that growth time, because there's like the OSR, and the reason people are interested in OSR now is because we're in the end game of what happened in the 90s growth time. Because in the 90s growth time, people saw the success of 3rd edition, and they're like, okay, the RPG players want really fucking doofily complicated rule sets. Like that's what they want. and if you look, that's what fucking happened. Like every game that came out after 3rd like came out and exploded. Every game that came out after 3rd was so fucking convoluted. They all have like way more rules than you'd expect. When 2nd edition, that was the thing. 2nd edition got convoluted. If you look at the core Dungeons and Dragons, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition rulebook, it's really not that complicated. The only class that has fucking skills in that book is the rogue. Like that's the only one. There's no other skills in that book. Skills for other classes was added way later. And all of the stuff that like eventually morphed into 3rd edition, where you had these like bespoke characters with complicated abilities, all huge skill lists, feats, this, that, and the other, all that stuff. All this stuff came from years of supplements on 2nd edition.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we're at now, where we're at this big bloat. And I'm wondering if like this new edition, this 5.5 or whatever it is like the late stage capital equivalent for Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, I think Dungeons and Dragons is now never going to leave 5th edition.
No.
No. Dungeons and Dragons will never leave 5th edition. And here's what I mean by that. They're just gonna keep releasing books. Books will fade out of print, and then they'll do another wave of players' handbooks, monster manuals, and dungeon masters guides, and then they'll just do it again, and do it again, and again, and again, and they'll keep doing it until there's an edition crash, like what happened with 4th edition. And if that never happens, congratulations, this is the last Dungeons and Dragons edition that's ever going to be made.
Ooh.
So
bold words.
That's no, I mean that's how it is. That is how it's going to be, because right now that's what's happening. Like that's literally what's happening right now. Like this should be a new edition, and it's not.
That's bold, like some salsa that's made in New Mexico.
New York City.
Exactly, not New York City, New Mexico. Bold.
Yes.
That take was picante, Steve.
Yeah. So that's where we at, bro.
Hey, that's impressive, but we'll see. We'll see.
It just seems likely.
Yeah, we don't go the way of Legends of the Burning Sands LCG, where it's or CCG, where the distribution was unpopular.
The distribution was unpopular. Yeah.
Yeah. These cards are great though. I wish you were here so that I could like literally hand you these cards, because you would just be sitting here staring at them going, God, these cards are great.
Oh, I love them. They're great.
Yeah. But we'll see what I'll do with the Trek cards. We'll see. They're burning a hole in me just looking at me right now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of just want to be like, I want to go to Adepticon this weekend and take these cards and just sit at a table and say like, okay, you pay me $10 and you could open up a pack with me, and then we play with the cards.
Nice.
Just like a little one-time thing. We'll just sit. No, we won't even play with them. We'll just goon over the cards for about like 10 minutes. You get 10 minutes to goon over the cards with me. Not literally goon. I'm just saying, ogle.
Yes.
Not masturbate.
Well, you didn't say it was triple X Xenophile, so obviously that was implied.
True. Very true. All right. So did we hit all of like the stuff that we wanted to talk about? Not that it matters.
I think we did. Yeah.
All right, so go to the Game Classy Facebook page. It's the quickest way to find the link to the Game Classy Discord. If you could the best way to help out the podcast is like, comment, subscribe on the iTunes, or like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTubes.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see more of my stuff, you could see it on Instagram at GameClassyJoe, or I also been posting some stuff to YouTube. I'm in a play right now, so I haven't had an opportunity. I've been like really busy the last 2 weeks. But hopefully starting next week, I'll be back on a more regular posting schedule with some videos. Steve is currently offline. However, you can look into Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's text messages, and he is probably in there.
Yes.
That's your political joke for the day.
But
way to date the podcast. Murphy Brown.
Yes.
So
Murphy Brown. I never watched that show ever.
You never watched Murphy Brown?
Never watched.
That's where I learned about all the great 80s and 90s politicians who had funny names like John Sununu.
That is a funny name.
There you go. Michael Dukakis.
Oh, and for reference, that War of the Rohirrim box set is only $220, and the Minas Tirith Battle Host and Mordor Battle Hosts are $92 for the new stuff for Middle Earth. So if you've been considering getting into a game, you could do worse than the Lord of the Rings strategy battle game.
But actually go play Kings of War Champions.
Kings of War Champions looks fucking sick. So yeah, I mean,
do that instead.
That looks really good.
All right, so Steve, until next time.
Don't accidentally Google Twink Peaks when you're looking for Twin Peaks, because you will get interesting results.
You need that fucking tattoo. You need a tattoo that says Twink Peaks in the Twin Peaks font.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
100% you need that.
Yeah, I like it.
That's what AI was made for, Steve, putting that into there.
Yeah, Twink Peaks. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right. Later.
Game Classy.